I think we're live. I really do think we're live. I'm going to check the chat room to see how we're doing. I have to make sure that my sound is right. Like all the shit that I should have been doing before the show, you know. Okay. Looks good. Welcome aboard, everybody. It's Saturday Baseball. Let's just get right started because we have lots to do today. We have lots of stuff to cover. We're going to talk Nuggets. We're going to talk about some players to pick up. We're going to do all kinds of stuff. Saturday Baseball. Hey, Matt. Nice to see you. PNC Park. I love it. I love it. It's one of our favorite places to go, and it has such a great, I mean, look at the background. It's unbelievable. Plus, it's affordable, and parking is only $10, and it's like the best. Okay, the best. So, nice. Okay, thanks, Lenny. Nice. Sound is good. I sent messages to a bunch of people telling them to come today to see the show. Yes, I made it. I always make it. Eventually, I always do make it. Let's get started, dude. So, I don't know. Like, I feel like we're going to talk about Louise Castillo again. I wish I didn't have to talk about him all the time. I really do. I really wish I didn't have to talk about this fool every freaking day. Let's talk about him later. Let's talk about the number of people getting hit by pitches this year. We talked about this on the roundtable a couple weeks ago, where Ryan Zimmerman from the Nationals made his voice known when he told a reporter that he felt he was annoyed that these young pitchers are getting called up to the major leagues and they're just like throwing 100 miles an hour and they have no idea where the ball is going to go. And that teams don't care, coaches don't care because they don't have to stand in the batter's box. And it was kind of snarky, really. But that was his idea, that like we're just calling up pitchers willy-nilly that have like no experience in the minor leagues and they just simply don't know how to pitch yet. So why are they coming up here and learning up here? Because teams are just like much more willing to promote a pitcher who doesn't really pitch the way that he should at the major league level. Because you kind of do like have an understanding that, you know, at this level of baseball, you should be able to at least have a little command over your pitches. And so anyways, we've had 523 batters hit by pitches this season. I did some math. I looked at 2020 first, and 2020, that was just as crazy. It's hard to compare 2020 because of, you know, it was a shortened season and all the stuff going on. But so I did compare 2019 stats. In the month of April and March and April, so heading into May, like the month right before May in 2019, there was 368 hitters plunked by a pitch. Right now, we have 523. That's quite a big difference. That's like a huge difference. And before pre-All-Star, that's the first half of the season, there were 1,078. So I'm not really sure like how much we're going to go over that this year, or if it, but they say that the hit by pitch is up 20%. So that was a couple weeks ago when we talked about it on the roundtable, and like nobody's really talking about it. Rob Manfred, they haven't brought it up. They haven't talked about how to avoid that. They really haven't discussed it much. But in an article today, I'm not really sure where Lenny found the article, but the guy came up with some ideas that they could do, like some incentives to keep pitchers from hitting so many batters. And honestly, I mean, obviously they're not always just trying to hit the batter, especially when you see a pitcher throwing like 95 miles an hour. Usually they at least have the common courtesy, if they're going to hit a batter on purpose, that they're going to throw it like off speed pitch or something, like, you know, like, I don't think it's done on purpose. That's the problem. So adding incentives to keep guys from getting hit doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So one of the ideas was that we could move the mound back a couple inches. Wait a minute. How would that help? How is that going to help? Give them a little bit more, like a split second longer to get out of the way? Or anyway, I don't really get how that's going to work. Or the other option was to give batters, instead of just giving them first base, give them second base too. I don't know. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, my solution is simple. Back up a little bit. Like, why are you standing so close? And honestly, it's not always, but, and especially like I don't think we've ever seen this many hit by pitches, but to me, the people that get hit by pitch most are the people that are standing right over the plate, and they're using it as a tactic to be intimidating to pitchers. And I really do think that, there's nonverbal body language, that people use all the time, and every aspect of life, you're using body language, nonverbal. And so, like, I think when a pitcher goes up there and he like bends over, how Jonathan Papelbon did it for a while. Like, Craig Kimbrell has his own like specific stance that he does, and I mean, it's intimidating to batters if you're any good, but batters do the same thing to the pitcher to make them nervous, and that's what they get for standing over the plate, in my opinion. Joe Musgrove had a good game yesterday, finally. Actually, I mean, Musgrove had a good game, but the Padres hitters were not really doing it. They still got on base, and they still scored runs. In fact, 4 out of the 5 runs that were scored yesterday by the Padres, they were scored by batters that walked. So, hey, getting on base, that's all you got to do, right, to score. But he had a horrible run after he pitched that no-hitter. He won for the first time in 6 starts since he had the no-hitter. I mean, I think that it's interesting because Padres starting pitching entered last night with a collective ERA of 2.99. Okay, under 3. That's the second best in the major leagues. But they only had 171 and a third innings, which is almost the least number of innings for starting pitchers in baseball. They ranked fourth lowest in number of innings that they're pitching. So you have to imagine that the Padres bullpen is picking up the slack here. They also had the second lowest ERA in the majors at 2.64, even better than their starters. And I believe that they had almost as many innings as the starting pitchers. 167 and 2/3 innings for the relievers and 171 innings for the starting pitchers. Anyways, that's the second most innings in baseball for the bullpen. I don't know, like maybe Musgrove just was off for all 6. I mean, yesterday was the 6th start, so 5 bad starts in his first 4 starts, okay, of the season. The second start of the season was the no-hitter. He had a 1.04 ERA, and his batting average against was 124. Batters were hitting 124 against him in 26 innings, first 4 starts. And then he had 3 starts after that, leading up to yesterday. He had a 6.92 ERA, and he allowed a batting average of 278. So batting average against 278, and the league-wide batting average right now is like 230, so that's quite a big difference, and that was in 13 innings and 3 starts. So last night he did okay. He did good last night. He got his season ERA down to under 3, 286, and he had 5 hits and 4 walks. So anyway, good job, Musgrove. I don't know. Every team is kind of weird right now. Like, all these teams have these. The Mets have the lowest home runs allowed per 9 by their starting pitchers, and the 4th lowest walks per 9 by their starting pitchers. So think of this. The Mets are not having a great season, but they're striking out more batters than their batters are striking out, which strikeout differential that we looked at last week. We talked about it. They're not striking out very much, and their pitchers are doing well. The relievers entered yesterday with a 1.73 ERA, only 13 earned runs in 67 innings pitched so far in their last 17 games since April 22nd. But I think they blew up last night. I really do think they blew up last night. I'm not positive of that. This is my only tidbit for the Mets, but the Nationals defense is better than we thought it was going to be. I think a lot of people didn't really like their defense going into the season. We talked about Josh Bell having the worst defense of a first baseman in baseball. And of course, Carter Kieboom, he got sent down because he wasn't doing anything right. But Josh Bell is hitting now. In the last 7 games and 28 plate appearances, he has 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. He struck out 10 times, though, which that crushes his batting average. It's 185. And his on-base percentage, dude, it's barely over 200 for the last 7 games. But he is getting counting stats. So, if you're a Josh Bell guy, put him in there anyway because he's at least getting home runs and RBIs. He's doing that stuff. The Nationals won yesterday 17-2 against the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they out-hit him 22-6 with Max Scherzer. He's now 3-2 with a 2.10 ERA. He's just an unbelievable pitcher, right? Washington scored 6 runs just even before Max Scherzer even took the mound. It's the most runs that they've scored for Scherzer in one start this whole season. And Max Scherzer's teams, that includes his entire career with Detroit, Washington, his whole career, he's 119-9 when scoring 6 or more runs in his starts. But I would hope that most pitchers are really having a good record when their team scores 6 or more runs for them. I mean, you could ask Jacob deGrom what it feels like not to have any run support, or even like Eduardo Rodriguez has no run support this year from Boston, even though they have a great record. They're not putting up any runs while Eduardo Rodriguez is on the mound. So it's hurting him. It's hurting fantasy people. Trey Turner, he had a leadoff home run. That was his 9th home run of the season. Trey Turner, excellent. It's his 14th career leadoff for Washington. Now, down in Miami, we have Jesus Aguilar still getting it done. He was on one of the lists that I was looking at, the most added and most dropped lists. ESPN, I look at that. Anyways, Jesus Aguilar is still on that list. So, why is he still only 60% owned, I think? Anyway, in 35 games, he's batting .303 with a .385 on base percentage, 8 doubles, 9 home runs, and a league high 32 RBIs. So, yes, Jesus Aguilar leads the league in RBIs. Okay. Now, let's talk about Seattle. Seattle brings up their youngsters. They had 2 coming up in one day, which was kind of fun, but Kelenic didn't get a hit, or, he didn't do shit on his first day, but he did yesterday. And it was kind of nice because Logan Gilbert, I believe he pitched on Logan Gilbert. Let's see. Do I have any notes on him? I don't even think I looked at how he did. I better look now. Sorry. Break for a second. Oops. Logan Gilbert. Oh, he's not, I don't know. Anyway, so here's what he did down in the minors. He's not ever pitched at AAA. He's pitched at AA, which I don't see any. I don't know. RotoWire is really letting me down here. I got to go to MLB, another whole website, to look at his 2021 stats in the minor leagues because they don't have it at RotoWire. But I know he pitched in the minors this year. I know he did because I looked at it last week. So anyway, he made it through 4 innings the other night, 5 hits and 4 earned runs, 2 home runs allowed. That's not good. I mean, seriously, he pitched at home. He's giving up home runs in Seattle. That's unbelievable. It's not good. Anyways, he did strike out 5, so that's great. And it is his first start. He did not really pitch at AAA. If he did, I know he pitched this year, though, in the minors, so I'm sure it was at AAA. Anyway, he's got, his stats, his ERA is under 3 in the minors. It really sucks because we have nothing between 2019 and now. We have nothing to tell us what these guys have been doing, which it's been a long time since 2019. And I'm sure that he was pitching at the alternate training site last season. I'm sure that he has been doing stuff, but we have no record of that. So I don't really know what he did. And that's the same for all these minor leaguers. It's like they're hiding stuff from us. anyway, I don't have time to go looking for all that, but I would be very cautious, obviously, about picking up some youngster that has no experience and then just like expecting him to be good on your team. I don't think you guys are going to do that, right? I don't think you're going to do that. Don't do that, Matt Hooper. Don't do it. Okay, so Seattle, still. Jared Kelenic, I think his name is Kelenic. I don't know. That's what I hear people saying, but his name is spelled Kelenic. Seriously, that's how his name is spelled, but we'll find out as we go. I'm still trying to figure out Pache. I heard one announcer that you would think that the announcers like know how to say these guys' names because they work for that team and they know how to say the names. I heard one the other night talking about Christian Pache and calling him Pachi. Here I am looking up how to say Christian Pache's name. Everybody else says Pache, so that's what I'm going to say. But, Jim Bowden sent us, Lenny and I, it's a book, actually, that's put out by Major League Baseball, talks about how to pronounce everybody's name for every team. Unfortunately, it's like a year and a half old now, so these youngsters are not on there, and it's impossible to really figure it out. But anyways, it was the second time in 11 games that Seattle scored 7 runs or more, and they had 10 hits yesterday. That was more than the total combined hits in the previous 3 games for the Mariners. Kelenic finished the night. He had 3 of those hits, 3 out of 10. He's only 21 years old. Actually, he's almost 22. So he's 21 and 302 days. 21 years and 302 days old. He's the youngest American League player with 3 or more extra base hits out of the leadoff spot since Ricky Henderson in 1979. Like, we weren't even thought of then, right? That's what I'd like to say. We weren't even a thought. But anyway, he's actually the 18th player since 1901 with 3 or more extra base hits in his first or second career game. The first since Rowdy Tellez did it in 2018, but whatever happened to Rowdy Tellez? Where's he today? It's not a great example, but still, he's the first one since Rowdy Tellez. He's the second youngest player in Mariners history with the home run out of the leadoff spot. Guess who was the youngest? You guys, genius of the day in the chat room. Go ahead, tell me your guess. Jared Kelenic is the second youngest in Mariners history with a home run out of the leadoff spot. Who was the youngest? Hi, Malpal. Nice to see you. Scott Banzel, nice to see you. I'm not sure we know each other, but it's very nice to meet you. Douglas Boyle, nice to see you as well, dude. If you guys want to chat, you should come to LennyMelnickFantasySports.com/live, and we have a lovely chat going on during this podcast. Okay, another tidbit. Kenley Jansen struck out Corey Dickerson on a 96.8 mile per hour pitch. It's Jansen's fastest strikeout pitch since July 16th of 2017 when he struck out Justin Bour on 97 mile an hour pitch. Fastball, obviously. Those are his 2 fastest strikeouts since the start of 2017, including the playoffs, but he's been pretty reliable this season. Kevin Gausman, 12 strikeouts, no walks. He's the first Giants pitcher with 12 or more strikeouts and no walks in a game since, guess who? No, it wasn't Lincecum. It was Mad Bum in 2015. He did it. He struck out 12 in one game and no walks. I'm a little hesitant with Madison Bumgarner. Number one, I gave up on him already after what he did last year, after he left San Francisco ballpark. He's just not, you can't expect him to be the pitcher that he was, okay, in San Francisco. The ballpark is a big deal, but his age is also a big deal. So I was not interested in Mad Bum at all, but he has been pitching very well this year. We're going to talk about him a little bit because I think that his upcoming schedule is such that you might want to bench Mad Bum. He's going to Colorado. He's going to pitch in Colorado. It's not a great matchup. It's just I'm a little hesitant. I think he's due for a big fat blow up. No offense, Mad Bum, because I like you, but I just don't like you on my team right now. I believe he's about ready to have a blow up. But I'm the guy that drafted Zach Gallen. I'm the guy that drafted Lamet. I'm the guy that drafted Louise Castillo. And so you might not want to, and Strasburg too. Seriously, on one team, I have Gallen, Lamet, Strasburg. On one team. And it's horrible. Okay? It's a horrible. That's Tout Wars. Even though I have I rank second in points, okay, scored in a points league head-to-head, but I just have the worst timing. And I have the way more than anybody else points scored against me. It's just, some of this head-to-head, it's luck. A lot of, a good chunk of head-to-head is about timing. And you win some, you lose some. Anyway. So Yasmani Grandal, he's hitting 143 with that's not good at all. 143. His batting average on balls in play is 0. Okay. 0. Okay. He's 2 for 4. No, it's 0 just in May, but that's horrible luck. Talk about bad luck. Yasmani Grandal is having the most horrible luck because all of his hits have been either walks or home runs. And the rest of the time, he's not getting on base. He's 2 for 14 in May. 2 home runs and 16 walks. But if you're in an on-base percentage league, dude, Yasmani Grandal is fine, just fine for you. The Yankees are going to Baltimore. You know how they love to hit Baltimore. Too bad Gleyber Torres is out because he loves hitting home runs against Baltimore. I mean, why in the world are the Yankees still playing with all these? I guess they only have one player out, so it's a big difference. Like when you think of the Yankees having 8 or 9 people with COVID, you think like, why isn't baseball stopping for them? Why don't they get to postpone their game? Well, it's not the players really that are with COVID. Whole other story there. Okay, let's not talk about it. So the Yankees are going to Baltimore for 3 games. Aroldis Chapman, okay, he's faced 10 Baltimore Orioles this year. He has struck out 9 and walked 1. But the Yankees, and they're 13-2 when Chapman pitches. The 2 losses that he has pitched in are both 4-3 games against Baltimore, if you can imagine. They were decided by 1 run. But the Yankees batters are just a mess. They are a hot mess still, even though they've been able to work around it. Like, Stanton's hurt again, okay? Stanton's hurt again. Yes, I know. It's like, look over here. Judge hit 2 home runs. Whoop-de-doo. But Stanton, he's got problems again, okay? We'll talk about that in a second. Let's see. The 2 losses, okay, that the Yankees suffered while in games that Aroldis Chapman pitched in, I told you they were by 1 run, both of those. And Chapman faced 6 batters in both the games combined, 6 batters. He struck out all of them. So it's obviously not Aroldis Chapman's fault why the Yankees are losing games that he's pitching in. So, but one good bit of news is that the Albert Pujols, there's like 3 or 4 teams interested in Albert Pujols. And he said that he is interested in playing still. He wants to play and he should. I don't know who, like going through the teams, right? If you go through the teams and you think to yourself, like, where would he fit in? There's really like no place for him to fit in. I mean, where is there really a spot for somebody that bats like 120 and you're the slowest runner in the league? I just feel like the Angels owed him a little more respect, okay, than what they gave him. That's the truth. They could have at least put him as a coach or said, we have a different job for you to do since we're going to pay you for the next 10 years anyways. We might as well be on good terms with you. But something happened, something. You don't just drop Albert Pujols for John Jay. You do not do that. And that is a point that we talked about last week, and I hate to just beat a dead horse here, but I hope that Albert Pujols finds at least a job in baseball. It's where he belongs. It's what he does. He's a great clubhouse guy. He could be a trainer. He could be he could be what the Mets had earlier this season, which was called an approach coach, which didn't work for them, by the way, an approach coach. So I don't care what he does. He deserves to be in baseball, and so that's that. We'll see what happens. All right. But there's 3 or 4 teams in on Albert Pujols. He's 41. That's nothing. The Cubbies, They've used 24 lineups this season, including their opening day lineup. Only 6 teams. They've only used their opening day lineup 6 times in 36 games. Javi Baez is horrible. He's been horrible defensively. At least he's been horrible. He's got 9 errors on the season. Okay, he's already surpassed last year's total, which was 8 for 60 games. So in half the time, he's already passed all the errors that he made last year. I don't know what the dealio is with that. They say that the Cubbies haven't reached 85%. I think it's really crappy. I think it's really unbelievable that this vaccine thing is out of control, where it's like, okay, if you had the vaccine, you don't have to wear a mask. If you didn't have the vaccine, you have to wear a mask, even though masks, we don't even know if they work, and we don't know the long-term side effects of this vaccine. I could tell you one thing. Just ask yourself and just say to yourself, like, how do they know that we know for sure that it doesn't keep you from getting it. We also know for sure that the survival rate and the horrible side effects of COVID are not happening to young people. If you're 20 years old and you get COVID, usually you might not even know you have it. But the point is, if you could still transmit it and you could still get it with the vaccine. But they say now, they've changed it now to say, well, you can still get it, you could still transmit it, but you get a lot less sick if you get the vaccine. But I'd like to know how they know that. How do they know that? How do they even know how your body's going to react to the COVID? I just think it's really scary that they're pushing this vaccine on all these young people that are not a threat. And to say that half of you have to wear masks, the other half of you don't have to wear masks, it's like dividing people. And to say that now you're pressured in baseball to get the vaccine, whether you want it or not, whether you feel secure about it or not. What if you want to have kids? You don't know. I mean, there's kind of some crazy side effects going on with women. And I just feel like you're shunning people. You're like pushing them out of society and like saying, you're not allowed to go places if you're not vaccinated, but you are. So the rest of you will just treat you like outcasts of society. You're not welcome. And then like, whatever. I mean, honestly, whatever. I find it just despicable that they're doing that. If you got the vaccine and you are vaccinated, then you shouldn't really be too worried about it than what other people are doing. And that's been my opinion. I'm like tempted to get it. I'm on the verge because I'm not like obese, but I'm a little overweight. I don't have diabetes, but like I'm 46 this year, so I've considered getting it. You weigh the risks and the benefits of something, and for Lenny, it was the right thing to do because he's at that age and he, underlying conditions, but I don't think everybody fits into that category at this point. Okay, so anyway, moving on. Let's talk about baseball. Baez home runs or errors all the time. Baez committing all kinds of errors. Anyway, Wade Miley. I see him on the most picked up, most added this week. Please, people. Yes, he's been pretty good this year, so I'm not going to be like too hard on you if you went out and ran out and picked up Wade Miley right after his, I don't know, no hitter the other day. But seriously, yesterday it's exactly what happens. Look at Joe Musgrove. Look at Wade Miley. This happens more than not when you see a guy throwing a no hitter. The next game, he gave up 8 runs in 3 innings. He only allowed 8 runs in his first 6 starts combined. Okay. And that was 36 innings. So he recorded 9 outs yesterday, which is, 3 innings, 11 hits, and 3 walks. He's actually been pretty good. So I would just say that another name I saw on the most added list was right next to Wade Miley and they're both owned about the same percentage, even though they're both on the most added. They're still only owned 60% of leagues, which is Taiwan Walker. I mean, anybody listening to this show has already grabbed Taiwan Walker. I'm sure of it. I'm certain of it because you would have had to by now. You just would have had to. There's no possible way that Taiwan Walker is sitting available in any of your leagues if you've watched this show or listened to this podcast. because there's no excuse for it. Altuve. So, I hate to like bring up the whole cheating thing again. I know that you have your mind made up, whether you like it or not, whether you think that they cheated the majority of the time or not, or if you think they cheated in 2018 or not. Like, we don't really know, but I could pretty much vouch for the fact that we do know that most teams were cheating. To the extent we don't know, for each team is probably different, but they were pounding on trash cans and they were giving each other signals when certain types of pitches were happening. Now, Altuve, he hit 399 over 75 games in 2016, okay? Now, the most recent 75 games, that spans from basically the start of 2020, okay? He's had a 243. He's been batting 243 over the most recent 75 games. Now, he batted 331 over 5 straight seasons between 2014 and 2018. He batted 331, okay? Now, right now he's hitting very well. So, I mean, if you have Altuve on your team, you got a great deal on him. This draft season, he was going very underpriced. So I'm not dogging on anything. I'm just making a point here. He has 13 hits in the last 7 games. That's really great, okay? But including those 13 hits in the last 7 games, his batting average is only 227, which tells you how bad it was. Through May 5th, he was hitting 227. Now, what is he hitting now? 243 overall, right? So that includes the 13 hits in the last 7 games. But that is obviously the worst stretch of his career. But breaking balls are his big issue. Now, I mean, pitchers are going to figure this out. I think they probably already have, but he is not hitting breaking balls at all. He batted 304 on breaking balls, and that's overall, okay, in his career. And then in 2018, he batted 364 on breaking balls. Since 2020, the beginning of 2020, Altuve has hit breaking balls with a 200 batting average. That's right. Way below what it should be. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to like, whatever. I shouldn't even have brought up the cheating. The bottom line, he can't hit breaking balls all of a sudden, and that's weird. The Twins, we have to talk about the Twins for a second. We do. The Twins, they are not going to make the playoffs. Like, I was reluctant to accept that going up, because just the other day on Thursday when I did the podcast for Lenny, I was like, there was a nugget that we discussed that the Twins are in the same exact, that the Washington Nationals were, I can't remember what team it was, but I would like to say it was the Twins. But we've already talked about the Twins and how bad their record is. And we start to look at other times that it's happened in the history when somebody's gone this bad at the starting of the season and actually made it to the playoffs. And it's very rare, and it gets rarer by the day. So I will say that just to finish, they're 12-23. 12-23, not what we expected. Like, everything is not clicking. Nelson Cruz is the only good bright spot on their team. Byron Buxton was great. Now he's hurt. Go figure. Just to finish 500 for the season, okay? They would have to win over 500, over half their games the rest of the way. Just to get an 88 win season, they would have to bat on average 543. They would have to have a 543. 54.8% of their games going forward they would have to win. And that sort of finish is not even really going to guarantee that they would make the playoffs, just finishing at 500. So at 35 games, okay, into the season, it's like people would say it's impossible to count out the Twins in 35 games. There's 127 games left to play in the season. Only one team in the last 26 seasons, okay, were able to make the playoffs. Between 1995 and now, that's 26 seasons, only one team has rallied to make the postseason after losing at least 23 of its first 35 games. So that kind of puts it in perspective a little bit. That was the Astros, by the way. In 2005, they did that. They actually didn't even just make the playoffs either. They made the World Series. So there is a chance, there's always a chance. But It's getting really slim to none, okay? It's getting very slim, the chances. Now, you have Michael Pineda, J.A. Happ, and Nelly Cruz. They're all on expiring contracts, which means will the Twins trade these guys before they expire? Because they're not going to get anything if they wait too long, and we know they're probably not going to sign any of these guys, right? Jose Berrios, on the other hand, has not been able to work out a deal with the Twins. I think he needs a change of scenery. I would love to see Berrios go to San Francisco. Okay, I would love to see Berrios go to Miami. Oh my gosh, wouldn't it be perfect for Berrios in Miami? He would be perfect. I would love it. I don't know why. It just reminds me. I don't know why I think of Jose Fernandez when I think of him going to Miami. I just think of that. What a great, I don't know. I miss him so much. He would have been better than any of these pitchers. No doubt about it. Because he had an attitude to be the best pitcher in baseball. He was going to be the best pitcher in baseball. There was no question at the time of his passing. So rest in peace, Fernandez. We love you. Okay. Berrios can't work out a deal with the Twins. Don't be surprised if you see the Twins getting like having a fire sale. They are going to retool their team so that they can start winning again, because I mean, they're just not cut out to win. And Alex Colomé, he's pitched 4 times this month. 3 of them he pitched in the 7th inning because they tried this ridiculous idea of having 2 good closers on their team and doing some kind of matchup BS. That's what they decided. So he's yet to allow a run in 5 total innings this month of May so far. His strike percentage has risen. He hasn't allowed a base runner in the last 2 appearances. In April, he allowed runs to score in 6 of the 9 out appearances that he made. And they were like game-winning runs, too. It was horrible what he was doing. But his ERA was 8.31, okay, entering May. And now it's 5.27, so he's been pitching better. Baldelli hinted that he could work his way back to the end of the bullpen. But he already said it doesn't really matter. It's not like he's going to get every save. And are the Twins even winning any games to save anyway? So I don't know. Just whatever, Colomé. Okay, whatever. The Twins, they have 12 wins all season, and they haven't even had a save opportunity since May 6th. They're 5 for 12 in save opportunities. Okay, and they have 2 of the best closers in baseball on their roster. They're 5 for 12 in save opportunities. So, all right, let's just skip to your boy Stanton. After the game, Boone says that Stanton might require a couple days. He's got I'm not kidding. He's got a quad problem now, a quad tightness. You know what that means for Giancarlo Stanton? It means he's going to be out for like 2 months because he has a quad tightness. Junk, dude, junk. Pirates, okay, Pirates. They beat San Francisco. Okay, this was a weird game. They beat San Francisco 3-2. And the Pirates struck out 17 times and won the game. Only 4 of their batters, only 4 of 13 batters, okay, got a hit. 4 of 13. They struck out 10 times and they won the game. They beat the team with the best record in the National League. Freaking weird, right? Just weird. Anyway, that's crazy. The Cardinals, so just in the last couple of days, the Cardinals have walked 10 batters twice. They've had seasons where literally they have not done that at all, where they've walked 10 batters in a game. In 2010, 2011, 2013, 2016, 2017, 2020, they did not do that. They did not. I should have just mentioned the games that the years that they actually did walk 10 batters in one game, because it's way less, obviously. Anyways, from September 2015 to June 2018, which is 33 months, okay, and 400 games, they did not do it one single time. In the past couple games, they've done it twice. 2 in the last 8 days. 2. The last time they had 2 games of 11 or more walks allowed in the same season was in 2015, let alone in the same month. So, yeah, I don't know what's up with that, but they're walking, guys. Okay? Walking. Vince Velasquez, are you ready? Are you ready for some Vince Velasquez to actually do what we thought he would do? And he's already fun to watch anyways, so get your eyes on to Vincent Velasquez and pick him up. I highly recommend getting him. He will be on the most added list next week, I'm sure of it, but he's not there now. So if you can, run out and get him on your team. He has been fabulous ever since he was moved into the rotation, which was like April. I think he's had 3 starts since then, maybe 4. I don't know. Anyway, yesterday, 1 run, 3 hits, 3 walks, struck out 7. You got to just expect the walks. Be prepared. He will walk guys all the time. So, I mean, if you're trying to get your whip down, otherwise, if you're looking for strikeouts and wins and that kind of thing, he's the guy for you. He threw 5 2/3 innings against Toronto yesterday, and he didn't get a win, but he only allowed a solo home run to Vladdy Jr. in the 6th, and the Phillies offense doesn't score any runs for him, of course. He allowed just 1 run in each of his last 3 starts, but he only has 1 win. So he's got a 3.68 ERA, a 1.40 whip. There's that whip again. I'm telling you, watch out for the whip. He struck out 37 and walked 19 across 29 1/3 innings. He is scheduled to start at home against Miami this coming week. I would say get him, throw him in there. Too bad it's not in Miami because he'd probably do better. But I will tell you that he's pitched since he was moved into the rotation. His first start was April 28th. He only pitched 4 1/3. Okay, but he was being stretched out to start. So I'm not going to really even count it as a full start. The last 3 outings, he's pitched 5 2/3, 5 1/3, and 6. So he can go and he can get his act together if he has to. But he's got too many pitches. His problem is he's got too many pitches. He doesn't know when to use them. We've been saying this for years about him. He's still great fun to watch, and I think it's time to pick him up. It's time to give him another chance, okay? So he has a 2.84 ERA in 5 starts since it was April 23rd that he got moved into the rotation. But the first 2 were only 4 innings, and the last 3 have been 6, 5, and 5 2/3. So we're good there. Let me say hi. Hi, chat room. He will be hurt by mid-June. Who are we talking about? Velasquez? Yes, he probably will be hurt, but I mean, I've just been waiting for him to figure it out for years. I can't tell you how many times I put him on my team, dropped him, put him on my team, dropped him. Like, he'll have like certain little runs where he's really good, and you could really see he really is a great pitcher if he could just, it's kind of like saying like, he really is a good fantasy guy if he could only stay healthy. Like Stanton, it's like, he'd be great for fantasy if he was healthy ever. It's bogus. You can't say that because that's part of, I mean, obviously he's not a great fantasy guy if he's always hurt. So anyway, I hope you picked up Velasquez and give him a chance because the Phillies, I still don't think the Phillies are going to do well. When it's all said and done this season, all said and done, the Phillies will not be anywhere near the top of the standings in the National League East. I just don't see it. There's too many underlying things that tell me that it's not going to happen for Philly. So just enjoy it while you can. And sorry, Philly fans, but I think the Mets are going to finish the year above Philly just because metrics, my friends, metrics. That's right, metrics. Okay, Drew Smiley, Atlanta pitcher. 8.05 ERA in April. He had a second consecutive encouraging start. He pitched 6 innings, 1 earned run, and 3 hits. And he did, and like he was able to get himself out of a jam or 2, and he made it into the 6th inning. So he did pitch into the 6th inning. I do not, I do not recommend picking up Drew Smiley. I just don't. But he's been better lately. So Ozuna, though, Ozuna and Albies are hitting. Ozuna began the season 0 for 18 against lefties. He has 6 hits, including 4 for extra bases in his past 19 at-bats against lefties. So he's hitting lefties. Now, Albies, on the other hand, he has reached base 17 consecutive games, third longest span of his career reaching base, and he's hit safely in 16 of the last 17. Ozuna has hits in 14 of the last 17 games, so it seems like Atlanta hitting, at least, is picking up. Albies is still batting .231, so it's not anything that great, and Ozuna is .216. okay, on the season. So when you're that bad, there's only one place to go up, okay? One place to go. Anyways, Milwaukee Brewers, I was listening to the Athletic podcast, and they said that Milwaukee, the ballpark, is as pitcher friendly now as San Francisco. That's what they said, because they made some changes to the ballpark this offseason or something, like, they did some new stuff to the ballpark. Whatever it is, their ballpark dimensions have changed. They said that it's as pitcher friendly as San Francisco, and that really sticks in my head because I'm a big fan of looking for that. Like it used to be San Diego. That's not so much the case anymore. But anyway, that's just a little tidbit that on the side note. Milwaukee, they have 11 people on the injured list right now. 11 currently on the injured list. They've had 19 on the injured list over the season. And that was at one time. No, they've had 19 players on the injured list at one point or another since spring training. So that's the thing. In Atlanta, back to Atlanta, all three center fielders have the same injury, if you could imagine this, okay? All three center fielders in Atlanta have problems with their hamstring. They've all been missed time because of it, too. What is the problem here, okay, in Atlanta with their hamstrings in the center field? That's a problem. Anyways, they're not getting a lot of production at the plate. They have a 203 batting average from their center fielders this season. Christian Pache, I think he's back on the IL. I'm pretty sure. But he was batting 111. He was 7 for 63, including 1 hit and 27 at-bats since May 4th. He began the season as the starting center fielder, and I know this because I took a lot of flack for that. I said he wouldn't, and he did. He struggled, though. Right from the get-go, he was struggling. He also struggled in spring training before he went on the injured list April 14th with a strained left groin. Now he has a hamstring problem. Anyway, Griffin Canning. We're moving over to the Angels now. These are just the nuggets. Like, I have too many nuggets. Did you say Lindor sucks? Lindor, I don't think he sucks. Don't trade him. Do not drop him, because as soon as you do, you will be sorry. Believe me, Matt Hooper. I know you don't trust me anymore. I understand you why, but believe me, Lindor does not suck. He will get it together. Pache. No, let's talk about, we're going to go back to the Angels. We're going to talk about the Los Angeles Angels from one coast to the other. Anyways, Griffin Canning, he pitched 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs. The Angels bullpen, it's either their bullpen or their starting pitchers always flailing. One of the two does not get it done. The other one seems to be okay. And it's just that, I don't know. The Angels their bullpen yesterday blew a 7th inning lead, okay, and lost to the Red Sox 4-3. Griffin Canning, though, is using this over-the-head wind-up that he does, and he's been doing that for 3 straight successful, mind you, starts. In his last 3 outings, he's pitched 17 innings, struck out 20, and he's only given up 3 runs. And it's this over his shoulder, over his head type of wind-up that he does, which is whatever it is. It's, if you're superstitious or whatever, it's working for him. And that's all we need to know. I think that he's worth picking up a little bit, even though I'm so hard on the Angels because their pitching is so bad. I feel like their pitching is bad. But like I said, it's either the bullpen or the starting pitching. It's never the same. It's never, they're never on the same page. In April, starting pitchers was the Angels' biggest problem. They had a 5.97 ERA. It was the worst in the majors. And they were only averaging like less than 5 innings per start. Okay. In May, they've been better. They have a 3.72 ERA this month, and they were averaging MLB best, striking out batters like crazy, 12.26 batters per 9 innings. Now, the relievers, on the other hand, in April, they had a 4.34 ERA, which is absolutely horrible for starting. That's horrible. A 4.34 ERA is horrible for anybody, in my opinion, and the bullpen definitely should not be doing that. Anyway, right now it's even worse. They have 7.35 ERA in May. 35 walks and 11 home runs just this month lead all of baseball. So while you're out there firing Albert Pujols and hiring John Jay to come up, and while you're dealing with a bunch of injuries in the minor leagues, and you decide that you're going to get rid of one of the classiest people in baseball, why don't you turn your head and look at your pitching, because that's where your problems are arising from. That's my opinion. Max Muncy. Now we're talking about the Dodgers. Okay. 2 for 4. He's homered in each of the past 3 games. This guy is like the total absolute 3 true outcome hitter. No doubt about it. He has been on base. Okay. He's homered in each of the last 3 games. He's been on base at a 500 clip in the past 8 games with 10 hits, including 5 home runs and 8 walks in 36 plate appearances. But I think that he's the one. I think I have more notes on him actually later on in the show. I got to get going. Let's talk about some players to pick up. First of all, Mad Bum. Well, let's talk about Louise Castillo. Let me have a drink first because I need it to deal with him. All right, here we go. Here's some straight facts about Castillo. 38 runs. It's horrible, dude. I seriously, it's horrible. I don't know what to do. I'm not gonna cry right here, but I feel like it. 9 more than any other pitcher in baseball. Louise Castillo has given up 9 more runs than any other pitcher. He has 32 earned runs. That's 4 more than any other pitcher. He's allowed the most hits in baseball of any pitcher, 55 hits, okay? Holy crap. He's got a 179 whip, which makes Vincent Velasquez look like a saint. The worst in the game. 7.71 ERA. It's more than 1.5 runs higher than any other qualified pitcher in baseball. And only one other qualified pitcher in baseball has an ERA of more than 6, which is Patrick Corbin, who actually had a good outing, so he's off the list. Thursday, I benched him. That's what I'm doing with Castillo, and I'm glad I benched him. But it's so risky benching him. It's so risky doing anything with him. I was pretty confident that benching him was the right idea because he was going to Colorado, and, that's a good excuse anytime to justify benching a pitcher that's having a bad run. But he gave up 3 runs in the first inning and then 5 in the 4th inning before he got yanked with 2 outs in the 4th inning. So he's allowed 18 runs in the first inning. Now, look, I could try to justify this all day. I've already done all of the searching. I've already done all of the investigating. And I could tell you that Luis Castillo does start the season out a little slow. Not this slow, mind you, but he's not very good at in cold weather. Okay, big deal. That's not enough. What else is the problem? He also is not very good with this first inning of games. He's given up more first inning runs than like any pitcher by far. And that doesn't just include this year, but in general, it seems like he doesn't get comfortable in games until after the first inning. So, it's reverse for him than it is for normal pitchers who get tired after the 4th inning or so, and then you see their ERA just rise. Luis Castillo does not do well in the cold weather. He does not do well in the first inning. Okay, it's still not enough to explain this. And he still keeps trying to maintain this attitude like he's okay. Like he keeps saying we're close. That's all they keep saying. We're close, we're close, we're close. No, you're not. You're not close. You're not close. Something's wrong. And his velocity is getting to be back up to where it should be. But the velocity is not, I don't know. Obviously, if you're not throwing the ball as hard as normal, then your breaking pitches, your off-speed pitches are not going to be as effective because, like Lenny brought up the other day, and we talk about a lot, that the difference in velocity between your off-speed pitches and your fastball is what really makes your off-speed pitches tricky and throws off hitters. But there's also another element to that, which is called movement. And movement is a replacement in case you don't throw that hard to begin with, which he throws like 96 miles an hour. So it's pretty fast. I've never seen him pitch this bad, and I definitely do not believe that he's healthy. I have to, because it's the same thing as when you start to consider and you read all about like what could be the problem, you look at all the stats and you say, like, I admit, I am not like Miss Stat Queen. I look past the like surface stats, but I am not one that's always like, what's his all kinds of crazy stuff at Fangraphs. I don't even know how to read half of those charts at Fangraphs, to be honest with you, but I do know how to read the important ones, and I will tell you there's something wrong with him. That's the only thing. You don't just go from being a great pitcher to, I mean, and a lot of people, they don't even think he was great to begin with, but they never said that until now. Now they say, oh, well, we didn't think he was great anyways. Yeah, whatever. You didn't say that when he was pitching well. Now all of a sudden, like, oh, we didn't really like him anyway. No, he was an excellent pitcher. So is Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen is another excellent pitcher. I'm not sorry that I drafted either one of these guys. I would do it again. I think they're both excellent pitchers. I don't know. Either there's only two things for me. Either Luis Castillo is hurt or they're seeing his pitches. He's tipping his pitches. He's showing he's showing what he's doing. He's got some kind of tell. He's been figured out. But I do think that if that was the case, then it would have traveled through the MLB and it would have got back to him, or like, right? People talk, they say, oh, look, Luis Castillo, like, you know, he does this tell every time he's going to throw a fastball or a breaking ball. He blinks his eyes twice or something like that, you know, like maybe he's not aware that he's doing it. I don't know, but he's a piece of crap right now for fantasy. He's allowed 18 first inning runs this year. Anyway, do not trade him. Do not drop him. And do not, because look, I'd rather be stuck with him all year pitching crappy than trade him away for pennies on the dollar and have some other asshole in my league beat me because of that. No way. I'd rather have him on my bench than allow someone else in my league to get him for cheap. No way. Maybe I'm just stubborn or stupid. I don't know. To my own detriment, I'm keeping him and I'm benching him until he has a good outing, and that's the truth. So anyway, we talked about Mad Bum a little bit earlier. In his last 4 starts, he's only allowed 2 runs in 25 innings. He's struck out 29 and walked only 1. Can you imagine? He's like the old Mad Bum again. He's had really favorable matchups, though, okay? He had a start at home against the Rockies and 2 starts against the Marlins. 1 at Miami and 1 at home. He's crazy, too. His velocity is getting bigger. Okay, he started out the season, his first 3 starts, he threw 90. His next 3 starts, he threw 91. Now, his last 3 most recent starts, he's at 92.5 miles an hour. That's great. I root for him. I hope he does well. I'm not pitching him this weekend, or he's going to Colorado to pitch. Be very careful of that. Blake Snell. What do you do with Blake Snell? Well, I was reading at The Athletic. He also is pitching against Colorado, but they give a different reason. They say that, okay, Blake Snell is scheduled to start against the Rockies at home or away. He's been horrible. Blake Snell, maybe I overestimated him. Last week on the Roundtable, which is on Monday nights, by the way, at 8 o'clock on Monday nights, the Roundtable. It's a fun time. If any of you want to be involved in the Roundtable, you're more than welcome to come and join us. We just talk baseball. And we talked about Blake Snell last week. We were talking about trading Blake Snell for a minor league player. I think it was either Wander Franco, maybe it was Kelnick. I don't know which one it was, but I was like, no, I was the only one that was sticking up for Blake Snell. He's been horrible. This guy has not pitched 6 innings in maybe his entire career. Seriously, I didn't realize it was that bad, but he does not make it 6 innings. He definitely hasn't been this year. He's got very bad control of his pitches. Very inefficient in his outings, short outings. He's a Cy Young Award winner, which I never really felt for that anyway. But seriously, I did not think he would be this bad, especially going to San Diego. I thought that he would be good going late into games, that they would finally let him go late into games and he would be better in San Diego than he ever was in Tampa. And that just has not happened. He has been absolutely almost not even rosterable. That's how bad he's not a pitcher that you say I have to put in every time he's pitching. That's for sure. Okay, his four-seam fastball and changeup are not inducing any swinging strikes. He's got a 23.1 and a 19.3% strikeout rate for his fastball and his changeup. It talks about the fact that going from Colorado to San Diego, or Malpal, find out where Blake Snell pitches. This is exactly what it says in the article. Okay, I'm just going to read it to you, and you can deduce it for yourself. It says that these two pitches, his fastball and his changeup, will likely have more rise than what the Rockies are expecting, and he should wind up with fewer walks and more strikeouts as a result. He should at least be among the options that you're considering in 12-team mixed leagues if he's on your roster. Yeah, I mean, you should consider him every time he goes out there, but I don't really believe, I'm not a believer in what they're trying to say here. So, but I do think you should consider starting some Rays, Tampa Bay Rays, like Meadows, Austin Meadows, Joey Wendell, and Brandon Lau. I know that 2 of 3 you're always starting anyways, pretty much. Like Brandon Lau and Meadows are on your roster. They're active all the time. Wendell has been horrible lately. I'm a big proponent of Wendell. I think he's great because he plays all kinds of positions. The Tampa Bay Rays, they rank 24th in WOBA, and only the Mariners have a lower WOBA at home than the Rays, but they're good on the road. We like them on the road. They're hitting way better. They rank 10th in baseball for WOBA, 311 on the road. Austin Meadows, Joey Wendell, they each have a road weighted runs created above 115, which is really good. Wendell is actually 187 weighted runs created plus on the road, and he has a 1028 OPS and 67 plate appearances. So I'd say put both of these guys in your active roster. And then Austin Meadows. So both of these guys, Wendell and Meadows, actually sit against left-handed pitching on occasion. They do, in fact, like more than not, to be honest with you. So Lau, he's sat against all lefties. He's sitting against all lefties because he's losing playing time. He sat against 3 of the past 4 lefties, and I would be very careful. They're facing Robbie Ray one time, and they're facing Ryu. So if you can move these guys in, like I would definitely put the Rays into your roster at the beginning of the week, and maybe not so much the end of the week. They start the week off by facing the Orioles. They're going to face Matt Harvey, Dean Kremer, and Jorge Lopez. I don't know, like Brandon Lau, I would bench him if I could because he could be a good option in daily leagues. Like if you could move him around, that'd be great when he's facing a righty, but you got to bench him against left-handed pitchers. You just have to. Jorge Polanco, I know this is crazy. We just dogged on the Twins so much, but Jorge Polanco, look, they are going to play 8 games this week. Them and Twins are playing 8 games, and the Angels are playing 8 games, both of them. So they have a doubleheader on Thursday. They're playing each other, the Angels against the Twins. And then Polanco has 4 straight multi-hit games. That was heading into Thursday against the White Sox. But since then, even more recent, in the last 11 games, Jorge Polanco has a .325 batting average with 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. He's walked 5 times and a 400 OBP. So he is 16 for his past 45, .356 batting average with 3 home runs, plenty of barrels, and he is pulling the ball. He's a must-add and surprising power source for 12-team leagues, and he's even someone to consider in 10 teams leagues just to stream, because I doubt he'll continue to do that, especially with how bad that they are this year. The Cardinals, Tyler O'Neill, he could be okay. He's going to face all kinds of righties at home. Trevor Cahill, Will Crow, Kyle Hendricks. I'd normally say that Kyle Hendricks was going to be tough to face, but this year that's not the case. He's got his own issues too, but I have to say, like, I'm less concerned about Kyle Hendricks for the rest of the season than I am with Castillo. I can't even say his name. It just gives me anxiety just to say it. It just makes me so upset. Oh, it's horrible. Albert Alzolay, Zach Davies. O'Neill is crushing righties. He's just crushing righties in general. So now the Nationals, let's go back to them. They're starting off the week with 4 games against the Cubbies at Wrigley Field, and then they finish with 3 games at home against the Orioles. So interleague play here. They're opposing Alzolay and John Means. The rest of the pitchers that they have to face are nothing. Now, why is Starlin Castro still available in your league? I don't know, because you should have picked him up weeks ago. I've been talking about him since before the season started because of the fact that he plays third base this year. That's all he's played, but he comes into the season qualified at second base. He will now qualify in the middle and the corners, and he's been crazy good. He has 11-game hit streak going on right now. In the last 12 games, Starlin Castro, here's the thing about him. Like, if you need help with your batting average, that's fine. If this is just a short-term fill-in type of player, you do not want to put him in there because he is not that great at hitting counting stats. So he's not getting a bunch of home runs. In the last 12 games, he doesn't have any home runs. Oh, no home runs and only 3 RBIs. 4 runs scored. So, yes, his batting average is 370. Yes, he's getting on base 463% of the time. But he has multi-hit, like extra base hits too. He hits doubles and he gets on base a lot. He's very useful. And I have him, he's a set it and forget it type of player. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, but he's definitely hitting, and he's only owned in 40% of leagues right now. It's crazy. So him and Josh Harrison and Yan Gomes. Yan Gomes has the most counting stats of all of these 3 that I just mentioned. He's got 3 home runs in the past 11 games. Okay. 8 RBIs, and he's a catcher. 375 is his batting average. He should not be available either. Josh Harrison, he's like kind of in the middle. He's got 5 RBIs and 1 home run. He's only batting 234 though. So, I mean, everybody has different things that they're picking up these players for. Josh Harrison obviously is going to qualify at multiple positions. Anyways, Castro should not be available, and Yan Gomes should not be available in any leagues at all. He should be owned in every league, even one catcher leagues, because especially right now, he's hitting very good. He's playing every day. So the Red Sox and the Mariners are both going to play interleague games. So someone's going to lose out on bats. Somebody's going to lose out on both teams. Obviously it's not going to be JD Martinez for the Red Sox. I don't know who will lose bats for the Red Sox, but it's not going to be JD Martinez. The Mariners are a little more easy to figure out, but not that much. Ty France playing time is at risk, right? Jared Kelenic is up now and in the lineup. But France could actually go play second base, and then Dylan Moore would be out of the lineup on the bench. Neither of these guys should be active on your roster anyway. Bobby Dalbeck, he could lose playing time, but I still believe that Bobby Dalbeck is a good, decent player. Well, he's a huge strikeouts all the time guy, and he will hit home runs. We know that what kind of batter he is, but Tommy Pham is another one that's hitting horrible. Like, can you drop these guys? Bobby Dalbeck, Steven Matz. Can you drop Steven Matz? No, don't drop Steven Matz. I do not believe that you should. I do not believe that you should completely give up on Tommy Pham either, because his history says he's a better batter than this. That's all there is to it. Bobby Dalbeck, we don't know as much about him as we do about the other two, but let me just tell you right now, Steven Matz, his underlying stats are saying that he's better pitcher than he was with the Mets. He's just a better pitcher. And also, he didn't really get that much of a chance with the Mets to stick in the rotation. And also, there's some kind of, they call this pitching coach in Toronto the pitching whisperer, because he's taken careers and turned them around, like Robbie Ray. Okay, Robbie Ray is a good example. So I say both in Toronto and San Francisco, you have pitching coaches that know what they're doing, and they're taking these reclamation projects and they're turning them around and making them into better pitchers. And I do believe that Steven Matz, even though he has his ups and downs, he has good underlying stats and he should not be dropped. So if you see some fool in your league dropping him, go ahead and just grab him right up, okay? Because I think he'll be good. When all is said and done, he'll be decent. Another guy. Now, Brandon Crawford should not be owned in only 22% of leagues. This is coming from ESPN. Owned in 22% of leagues. Yesterday, he was 1 for 4 with a home run and 2 runs scored. And let me tell you what, in the last 9 games, Mr. Brandon Crawford has 4 home runs, 9 RBIs, 6 walks, and 6 strikeouts. He's batting .320 with a .438 on base percentage. Yeah, that's his total for the last 9 games. It's 32 plate appearances and 25 at-bats. He should not be available. I don't care. He's hitting better than Lindor, and he's hitting better than Javi Baez, and I bet you he's hitting better than 2/3 of maybe he's hitting better than in the top 5. He's in the top 5 for shortstops right now. everything's the same with him too. That's why I don't think that he's going to continue hitting like this, because if you look at his stats over time, right, over the past, I don't know, we have enough stats on Brandon Crawford to know what kind of hitter that this guy is, and nothing is changing. Like his strikeout percentage, the same. It went from 24.4% to 23.4%. That's 1 percentage point. It's not the strikeout. Is it the contact? No, his contact's exactly the same. Is it his batting average on balls in play is actually 231. Is way lower than what we normally see with him. 231. That means he's still getting unlucky. He's not hitting any more ground balls than normal or fly balls. He is hitting more fly balls. He's hitting 41% fly balls when last year he only hit 34% fly balls. But his barrels and his launch angle and all of this, I'm looking up all of this. His launch angle at 16.5% was absolutely doable. It was okay. It was good enough to hit home runs out of the park. And now his launch angle is 20.6%. But his max exit velocity is 109.8. It's exactly what it was last year, 109.8. His exit velocity on average is actually lower than what it was last year. So then what does that say? It tells me that he's probably going to be like, it's going to even out. It's going to even itself out, and he'll probably finish the season the same place he finished the season last year, with I don't even have his yearly stats for home runs and all that, but we know what we're getting. I'm just saying, ride the guy while he's hot. And like, if you have Lindor, you might as well just put him on your bench if he's doing bad, and pick up a player like Brandon Crawford and just get the counting stats while you need him. And I mean, he's unbelievable right now, and it will it will make a difference, at least in the foreseeable future, because there's not a lot of games. So anything that you do, if like I've been rolling around with James McCann in my catcher spot. James McCann, he's one of these players. You do not want to drop him, but you don't have an extra spot for him on your bench. And there's all kinds of catchers available, even in an only league, because we only use one catcher in this league. And I'm just sick and tired of putting James McCann in my active roster. And I think about all the stats that I've been missing just having this fool in my roster. So I decided today that I would go pick up JT Realmuto's backup in Philly. Whatever. I picked up a catcher that's not, I don't care about him. He's a rotating catcher. And worst comes to worst, if you're in an only league and you only use one catcher in this only league, you should always have a backup catcher, because especially if you get to make moves every day, you should always have a catcher to put in when on an off day, at least. Even if you have a great catcher, find a backup catcher, put in this other guy on the off days. You always want to be able to rotate around your roster for people that are playing and not playing on certain days. But I think about all the stats that I've been missing just because I decided not to add an extra catcher on my bench. And I mean, I can change my lineup every day, so I should have been having some backup way long before now. Anyways, I hope that I can catch up still. I think I can. I don't think you should be quitting, Matt Hooper. Josh Rojas is still only owned in 60% of leagues. It's unbelievable that he's still not owned in 100% of leagues. Josh Rojas, okay, and his brother Miguel. I don't know if they're brothers. I don't think they're brothers at all. Miguel Rojas, he's the other Rojas. It makes it easy for you. You need to grab both of these guys, or one of them at least. One of them, the Josh, Arizona, he plays middle, infield, outfield, and he plays second, shortstop, outfield. Okay, that's what he qualifies at. Then you have Miguel Rojas in Miami, plays outfield. Both of these guys are playing great. Long term, Miguel is 32 years old, so don't expect crazy stuff out of him. He's on a tear right now, though. And then his buddy Josh, he actually is really good. In 2019, Josh Rojas, he stole 37 bases and hit 25 homers. That's between AA, AAA, and the majors. So this is the real deal with Josh, and his friend Miguel is probably just a temporary fill-in, whatever. He has hits in 10 of the last 11 and multiple hits in 6 of the last 11. He bats leadoff 6 out of the last 7 days. He's been batting leadoff in Miami. So there you go. I mean, ride it while it's hot, right? And then Harrison Bader, 18% owned. I picked him up last week, but I feel the need when I see him on the list and he's only 18% owned. He has always been, okay, Harrison Bader, right? He's a defensive first of all, he's only been reliable ever for defense, but we knew that he had potential to steal bases and hit home runs. His speed ranks in the top 20th percentile. No, even better. That's his barrel rate. His barrel rate, top 20%. His speed is probably in the top 6-7%. It's really very good. But he didn't do anything. Last year in 2020, he was worse than he ever has been as far as striking out batters. He was striking out more than 30% of the time last year, a career worst. So everybody gave up on him. I'm telling you, somehow he's gotten his strikeout rate down to 15%. And I mean, he's normally like 28% strikeout guy. And somehow he's gotten it together, but he has the potential. He really does. He can hit home runs. He can steal bases. And he plays a great defense. So no matter how much he strikes out, he's still going to get in the batting lineup if he's healthy. Okay, in the past 13 games, he has 3 home runs, 8 RBIs. I'm telling you, you should grab him immediately. 262 batting average. And I told you, it's down to 15%. So there you go. He's never had a strikeout percentage even close to that. So don't be surprised if it like shoots up to the sky. But right now, and his contact rate is way higher than it normally is. Now, mind you, it's only 53 plate appearances and 46 at bats. It's not a lot of sample size here. Okay, compared to the fact that over the past 3 years, what we've seen is a great defensive guy and a guy that has not pulled it together. But he's 27 years old right now. And that's really when they say that you're at your best. You're mature enough to not run into walls and come to work with a hangover anymore. You know what I don't know. Anyways, hopefully he figured it out, but he's going to get in the lineup no matter what because of his defense. We thought he was going to be a Kiermaier going into this season, which is like just a defensive, fantasy, useless type of player. Okay, moving on. We have Seth Brown. He's rostered in 9% of leagues at CBS, according to CBS. Hold on. He's playing in the outfield corners for the Oakland Athletics. He's most often playing in right field. But we don't know where he bats, but sometimes he bats second, actually. Sometimes he actually bats second. He has 5 home runs in the last 26 games. He had 37 homers at AAA in 2019. 37 homers. And he also had 30 home runs in high A in 2017. So this is not an anomaly here. He does hit for power. Seth Brown is a big boy power hitter. But mind you, he's batting 217, okay? 217. But his expected batting average is a lot better. I think it's like 280. But this is a power hitter. He's going to strike out a lot. He's kind of like Bobby Dalbeck. He's Bobby Dalbeck. That's what you're getting here. But his strikeout rate is so he's been to the majors the last 3 seasons, 2019, 2020, and now. He's been in the major leagues here and there, right? Not a lot of at-bats. In fact, he only played in 2020, only played in 7 games at the major league level and 26 games in 2019. Still, his strikeout rate was very high, 27, 28%. Last year in 7 games, it was 40%. Right now, it's 23%, 23.7. So we'll round it up. 24% is a strikeout, which is used to be like if you had that high of a strikeout rate, you would not be allowed in baseball. You would get demoted. But now, if you strike out less than 30%, you're good. Nobody cares. His batting average on balls in play is only 217. So, like I said, it's only 28 games so far and 76 plate appearances. He's walking, 9.2% of the time, and his contact rate is 73%, so that's better than normal. Don't expect it. I'm saying this guy's a 3 true outcome player. He's going to hit a home run, he's going to strike out, or he's going to take a walk, and that's what he's going to do. And right now he's doing that, okay? In the past 7 games, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, batting 200. There you go. That's about what you're going to get, and that's about what you should expect from him. Everybody loves Matt Beatty. Do not go and spend a lot of money on Matt Beatty. Don't do it. He's only owned in 6% of leagues, but I know you're tempted to do it. Everyone's talking about him right now. Matt Beatty, Matt Beatty. No, don't do it. He has 18 RBIs in 25 games. He's got a 318 batting average, which is not sustainable at all. He will not continue to do that, even though he is not a strikeout batter. He's not a guy that strikes out a lot, and he usually doesn't really walk a lot, but he doesn't do much of anything. Right now he is 22. Wait, hold on a minute. He's 28 years old. I want to say he spent like 5 or 6 or 7. Obviously he's 28 and he hasn't had a lot of experience. In 2019, he had 268 plate appearances. He batted, I don't have his batting average. I just have his walk percentage, strikeout percentage, and he does like a small amount of both. Strikes out about 15% of the time on average. Right now he's striking out 16% of the time. But you see these RBIs, all these RBIs that he's getting, 18 RBIs in 25 games, that is not going to be sustainable. It's just not. Plus, there's other players that are going to come back for the Dodgers. They're not going to be out forever. And he is a fill-in player for the Dodgers right now. And he's going to continue to be. When other players become healthy, he's going to lose his spot. I do not recommend spending a lot of money on him. Maybe if you have, an ability to get him for a couple dollars, maybe do it. But there is one thing. I think Rios is out for the season. I'm not sure. Do some investigating, okay? He's been batting leadoff. He can play all 3 outfield positions and first base. This is who am I talking about? Smith. Pavin Smith is who we're talking about now. Pavin Smith. Now, this is a guy. So, Arizona Diamondbacks. He can play all 3 outfield spots. He can play first base. Those are the 4 spots that he can play. He actually qualifies at both right now. But, Neil, we have Walker, who's now made it 2 trips. Christian Walker, 2 trips to the IL for the same problem with his right oblique problem. Ketel Marte is soon to come back, we think. We don't know for sure, but he's nearing a rehab assignment. Center field spot won't be open then. But Calhoun, leave it to Calhoun. He's been out. He's going to be out until mid-June. It seems like there's always a place for this guy to play. Pavin Smith. He's batting leadoff, too. 6 out of the last 7 days, he's batting leadoff. 19 runs scored in 36 games. He's absolutely worth a pickup. Moving on, we're going to talk about Kyle Garlick. Douglas brought him up last week on the roundtable. Kyle Garlick, Twins. He's 1% owned, okay? Not for long, though, I'll tell you that. He's got 9 extra base hits this season. He's 29. 9 extra base hits in 55 plate appearances. He's filling in. Byron Buxton's out, so he's filling in for Buxton. And then, he also is a power hitter. 40 home runs in AAA over 2 seasons in 2018 and 2019. He's batting .292 right now with an expected batting average of .282. So it's not that much worse. His contact is 69%. His strikeout rate is almost 30%. Here we go. Another one of these Dalbeck type players with just, it's a homer or nothing really type guy. That's right. And the next guy, we're almost done. I am so mad about this. This happens to me. I do this. Maybe you shouldn't be listening to me tell you what to do in fantasy, because seriously, the day that I dropped Odubel is the day that he starts hitting, and he's been hitting right now. Now listen, Odubel from April 25th to May 2nd, he batted .053. That's his batting average, and he walked 1 time and he had 1 hit. 7 games, 20 plate appearances. He was horrendous. I dropped him in NL only in the very next day. So now in the last 11 games, he's batting .324 with 5 RBIs, 2 home runs, 4 walks. Of course, he's still striking out, but who the hell cares about it? I don't care. I'm so annoyed. 5% owned. Go ahead, grab him. He's not available in my league anymore. Someone else swooped him up. That's all I have to say about Odubel. He's a fun player to watch, though, okay? Good player to watch. Really fun. Avisel Garcia is somebody that I always have to bring up somebody that Lenny likes every show. I don't know why. I live with the guy, so I'm always hearing who he likes. Always. He loves Avisel Garcia. Mr. Brewers. He's owned in 38% of leagues. Lenny's been telling you to pick up Avicel for 2 weeks now. So, I just thought I'd bring him up because he is hitting very good. In the last 6 games, he's batting .313. He's got 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, a walk, 5 strikeouts. He's hit 5 home runs with 20 RBIs, 17 runs, and 3 stolen bases in 36 games. And he has a batting average of .267, but his expected batting average is even better than that. It's .284. He's batting 4th or 5th in the lineup. He strikes out a lot. Okay. I don't know how his expected batting average is so high with the 27% career strikeout rate, but his contact rate is below 70 on his career. But right now, I don't have his career. I don't have his current contact rate, but I don't think he's going to continue. I don't know why his expecting batting average is so high. I just don't see the 284. I don't see it, but whatever. He's batting 4th or 5th. His batting average on balls in play is kind of high. That's what my notes say. And I'll just tell you that 5 home runs in 36 games. He's playing every day. Batting 4th, batting 5th. That's it. That's all that needs to be said about him. He should be grabbed. He's only owned in, I can't believe how few leagues he's owned in. Kevin Pilar is another guy for the Mets. Brandon Nimmo's been out, so he's been looking to play. He's been playing every day. I don't know when Brandon Nimmo is coming back. I actually did go search, and it says that he was nearly ready to return, but he began a rehab assignment on Thursday, and then they put that rehab assignment on hold, at least for a couple days, because we don't know if it's like a significant setback or not, but Kevin Pilar could be temporary. Anyways, my theory is that if you're hitting, you get put in the lineup. That's all there is to it. He's hitting. So he, just a couple years ago, he had a great season for the Red Sox. You think of him as like a fill-in player, but he's actually okay for fantasy. In the last 11 games, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and a walk. Just be prepared. He might lose his job, like lose playing time in the near future. But he's gotten hits in 10 of the last 11 games since he started filling in for Brandon Nimmo. That's it. I could talk about some pitchers, but there's really not a lot of pitchers to pick up this week. I suggest highly that if Taiwan Walker is sitting out there, you should grab him. No doubt about it. I hate recommending a pitcher in Pittsburgh, but Tyler Anderson is worth okay. He's okay. He's worth okay. He's got a 3.05 ERA right now. He's increased the use of his cutter, so that's helping him to be successful. Seriously, it's only going to cost you $1 or $2 to grab Tyler Anderson, and it's worth it. He's having a decent season. He's like, I bet you anything, he's one of these pitchers. You're going to see him just like Glasnow and Cole. These 2 guys, they leave Pittsburgh and they're like 10 times better pitcher. I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen here. He is using his cutter more, and opponents are batting 163 on his cutter. And it's about time we start letting these pitchers throw what their best pitch is, instead of just saying like you need to throw 70% fastballs and like 15% this. No, you need to throw your best pitch the most. Okay, that's right. Logan Gilbert is pitching against. No, he pitched against Cleveland, and I don't even know where he's going this week. I think he went to the same college as Jacob deGrom, though. This guy. That's pretty interesting. And Matt Harvey got Matt Harvey's on the list. He's 14% owned. I don't know. I'm not recommending him at all. I really don't think that you should, but he's been good. And you gotta kind of like the story with Harvey and the fact that he came to Citi Field. Unbelievable the way the Mets fans treated him. They had signs for him. They were excellent people. They really, I don't know. It's just a good feeling when you see this kind of ovation and this kind of like response when he comes to pitch for the Mets, because it didn't end on great terms. The Mets fans were very disappointed in his immaturity, and, they really wanted him to be like, he was the Dark Knight. That's all there is to it. It was him and Thor. It was him and Syndergaard, and I think Jacob deGrom was still just a kid then, but everybody loved Matt Harvey. And I didn't think that he left on great terms, though. People were kind of bitter about it. And then when he came the other day and pitched at Citi Field, it was unbelievable. I will end the show on that note, because I think that it's just a great feeling to have it. He at the end of the game, Matt Harvey was in an interview and he said that like he was literally in tears about it because it made him feel so good. And that's how we're going to start our Saturday or end our Saturday, or depending on what time it is where you live. My day's half over, but thanks so much for coming to my show today. Thanks, Douglas. Mitchell Hartson, nice to see you. Scott, good to see you too. You could come tomorrow. We will have so Lenny and I are on Sirius at 7 to 10, and then Douglas comes on here at noon. You will see him. And then at 6:30, we have George Hubsman, the Roto Imbecile, who's a fun show. And then on Monday through Friday, you'll see Lenny at 9 a.m., so don't be late. We'll see you then.